Okay, welcome back, everyone. For this deep dive, you've shared an AP News article, and we're going to focus right in on a specific legislative effort it talks about.
That's right. Yeah, this piece really zeroes in on these discussions happening in the U.S. Congress, specifically about supporting Ukraine and what to do with, sanctioned Russian assets.
Right. So our mission today is pretty straightforward. Let's just unpack what this AP article is actually reporting. What's the proposal? Who's driving it? What does the source highlight?
Exactly. And it's important context. This is all happening while there's that much broader debate going on about, well, how much aid and what form it should take.
And the core idea here, at least as this specific source presents it, seems to be exploring ways to potentially use Russian state assets, the ones frozen here in the U.S., to help pay for aid to Ukraine.
Precisely. And what's interesting is the source, it gets pretty specific about who's involved. It actually names Senators Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal. It says they're key figures in the Senate pushing a bill for this.
Yes, I saw that. And the article also mentioned related work over in the House side, right? It pointed to the House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman, Michael McCall.
That's right, McCall, working on similar legislation, according to the source. So it paints a picture of this being, a bipartisan kind of effort, at least on this specific approach.
Okay, bipartisan. But how exactly would it work? Does the article get into the nuts and bolts? Because it sounds like more than just keeping the assets frozen.
It does. Yeah, that's a really crucial point the source brings out. The proposed legislation isn't just about maintaining the current sanctions. It's described as creating a specific legal mechanism. The idea would be to actually seize the assets and then repurpose them.
Seize them. Okay, that is a significant difference, moving beyond just freezing. So, which assets are we talking about? The article specifies. Is it like everything Russian?
Well, according to this source, the primary focus seems to be on sanctioned Russian state assets. So think funds like the Russian central bank's reserves, maybe their sovereign wealth fund, anything like that, held within U.S. jurisdiction.
Ah, okay.
It seems less about, say, private assets of oligarchs, though obviously sanctions cover those too, but this legislative push, as reported here, is targeting the state funds.
Got it. State funds, central bank money, that kind of thing. Does the source happen to mention how much money we're talking about, like the value in the U.S.?
It doesn't give a specific figure for the U.S. holdings, no.
Yeah.
But it does sort of place it in the context of the huge funding needs for Ukraine. It's definitely framed as a potentially significant source.
Okay. So boiling it down then, based purely on this AP source, we've got specific lawmakers, bipartisan effort pushing for a brand new law. A law that would let the U.S. grab sanctioned Russian state money here and redirect it to help Ukraine.
That's the essence of it, yeah. The article really frames this specific legislative effort as one potential answer to that big question. How do you find sustainable funding for Ukraine? Especially, given the political realities of just using U.S. taxpayer money indefinitely.
Makes sense. Sort of a way to make Russia contribute financially to the costs, is how it sounds like it's being presented.
That seems to be the argument highlighted in the source, yes.
Yeah.
An attempt to make Russia bear some direct financial consequences.
All right, so let's just quickly summarize the takeaway from this AP article you shared. It's detailing a concrete bipartisan legislative initiative. Leaders like Senators Graham, Blumenthal, Chairman McCall, aiming specifically to create a legal path to seize those sanctioned Russian state assets in the U.S. and use them for Ukrainian aid.
That's the core of it. This source is reporting on that tangible push, that specific mechanism being proposed to tap into those frozen state funds. And maybe just a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. Based on what the source tells us, it mentions the need for new legislation, right? So beyond just the politics of it, what kind of complex legal questions does that raise? International law, precedents. What happens when you actually seize another sovereign nation's state assets? Even under circumstances like these, what issues might that bring up?
Yeah, definitely raises some big questions about the mechanics and the potential fallout. Well, thanks again for sharing the source material with us today, and thank you all for joining us for this deep dive. As always, we encourage you to keep exploring the topic.